It's about like 23 hours of like flying plus like a 30-day travel day or 30-hour travel day, and every Aussie team I've ever come across in all the games always say like the travel's so hard, and then you have to like go straight into the tournament, and you have to be expected to perform at such a high level, and without adjusting your sleep schedule, it's so tough. I haven't been able to ask them yet, but I really hope for their sake they've been able to come in a little bit early just to get that kind of comfort for them, because this is big for them. They're representing as the only team from Australia, the whole region, to show what they can do.
And also, I think at the same time, the fact this is an open bracket tournament, the fact that anyone could enter, there was no qualification period. There was no way you could kind of like, scope out the competition and play a bunch of people to learn what you need to do going in, because this is another one of those international events. The world is coming together and playing in a situation where lag's not going to be a thing. There's not going to be any kind of netcode causing problems.
PC's not an issue if you don't have a great PC either.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you're playing on like perfect settings, perfect ping, and hopefully for yourself you can play perfectly as well. It looks like Runes of Sarnath is going to be our first map here. Actually excited about this one. Wins and Waz, there's been extended breaks, I know for Wins in particular, when it's come to Quake, but he's actually been back at it, grinding extremely hard, so let's find out to see what they can do.
Yeah, and I think Team Liquid 2, not to be underestimated compared to their counterparts and the rest of Team Liquid in 1, who have moved on in this bracket. By the way, guys, this pause, spectator client does not happen in the game, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, that's the way. We checked it out earlier on, just making sure to check in on that one. So the players are not experiencing that at all. Let's actually tag along with Wins and Waz for the beginning, I'd say, for Liquid. And I do apologize, it's not Zoot spectating anymore, it's going to be me. So if I miss shots, well, you have to kind of deal with it, because that's what's going to be expected out of me.
It's the new stuff, mate, the new stuff. But an early lead for Team Liquid. Obviously, Waz, I think, has a really impressive stack, and I think the coordination between Wins as well, making sure that was a 2 versus 1, really making sure you're aware. And Runes of Sarnath, Galena, she's such a popular champion in this game, and it's no question as to why. Fresh out the teleporter, that's both damage that he's taking and information for Liquid that he's now there.
Yeah, speaking of that, let's actually check out just the rosters for both sides. It looks like it will be the Galena and the Visor matchup between the two. I want to point out one thing when we're cycling through all the players. Make sure to pay attention when we're ever on Galena to look at the totems down, because this is one of those few maps out there that you could get potentially 5 totems down at one time, because there's so many sneaky positions you can put it. Wynn's gonna get a nice little double kill there, and I wanted to point out the Galena thing just because the amount of healing you can get from it is so important when these health bubbles are taken non-stop.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw Agent earlier on. There was a point when he had 5 totems down. It was the level of control that himself, in Cyberfight in general, were able to establish was mad impressive, and Wind managing to get another frag. 7-0 being the score right now. Extreme domination with 10 seconds left on the quad. Waz picks up one more. I would be surprised if it was, more than 10 frags, I was about to say, before they actually got 1 frag.
Oh, and hope so for their sake.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. And then he did manage to pick one up, thankfully, but Wind has the quad damage, so that 1 frag might be a bit of a consolation prize, really.
Yeah, and we've seen, when it's these last matches within Group A and B, how important it is to come into these power-ups. It was taken 2 seconds after, so at 2:02, so it's going to be back up again at 4:02. I'm curious, though, if the side for seekmate2v2 has been able to kind of suss that out, because they're going to need to pay attention. It's a very big room here in the eyeball room. It's very easy to get high angles against people, and it's very easy to catch them off guard. And we know how important power-ups can be in these matchups.
And the tactical actually waiting for the Mega, not picking it up. If it's unnecessary, or you feel like it might be useful to pick up later, or if a teammate needs it more, not being greedy is such a key part of playing 2v2, I find. Yeah,
and communication. Like, for instance, we've seen already so many times today, if a person already has a heavy machine gun, he actually lets his teammate take it whenever they kill someone who had it, just to make sure that you're balancing out the weapons, you don't get too greedy with what you do take. You could have another 10 rocket ammo, or you could give your teammate rockets, period, which they're definitely going to need in a lot of these 2-on-2 skirmishes.
There's really no ignoring the fact that this is one hell of a deficit. They trade it out 1 for 1, and if they have a lead this significant, they're going to be super happy with those 1v1 trades, I think.
And to be fair, though, I mean, I think Nico and Sockers are definitely going to be the underdogs in this match. But I don't think they're necessarily the underdogs over the course of the whole group. But they have the potential, I think, to get better. They have the potential to warm up here. I think this might be one of Nico's first lands, if I'm not mistaken. So kind of getting into the groove here and getting used to the situation. And more importantly, getting used to the setup, too. Obviously, when you're at home, you've seen a lot of players in many esports actually measure out like where their keyboard is in relation to the monitor, in relation to the mouse and stuff like that. So I think, maybe the first map won't be theirs, but the second map would definitely look a little bit different.
Yeah, it's definitely looking all Team Liquid at this point in time. We have 5 seconds left until we see the protection. And even though seekmate, it may look like they're in control, but he's outnumbered. That was a really nice rocket, actually. Surprised to see that one connect. He has the protection, manages to pick up Waz as well. Being fought off the Mega, collects that, Wind goes down also. A very impressive sequence so far from NiKo. Gets a good call on the LG. Does he chase it down? Yes, he does. Very confident he can take the kill, and why not? He's got loads of stack, he's got protection. Tries to go for a quick rocket boost, and, you know, I don't know.
It looks pretty.
It does. It looks pretty.
And he takes like no damage because he had protection.
I mean, Heavy wasn't going to spawn anyway, but worth a try.
And it's just like NiKo's been a one-man army. I mean, he was able to get the double kill, was able to get protection, able to take Meg off the back of that, able to get Heavy and get a couple of kills in between. Doing a good job for his team so far. 45 health left. He's got to be careful, and they actually are down 19-8 so far. So after the protection, now they've been able to secure one. It's all about how can they keep the momentum that they got from those kills of securing that power-up into the next. And that's what I'm going to focus on this next minute.
Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of goes to show, actually, how much of an amazing start Liquid had, that seekmate and NiKo going on that rampage he just went on. Any other situation, that would probably put them in the lead. But because they were so far behind, it actually hasn't really touched that lead that Liquid have at all.
Just kind of have to hope that was maybe like a saving grace to them, that they're able to secure that to kind of stop the rot and delay things and maybe just get more comfortable on the map in general. Waz gonna be able to turn that into a one-on-one with Wins being traded out. Look how well they're sticking together, Wins and Waz. Like they're always holding hands, you know, partner v partner, just trying to make sure to push into these tight areas and get these guaranteed 1-for-0 exchanges.
That was a really nice combo, actually. Keeping him in the air with the LG and then the rocket launcher direct. That was cute.
There's actually some really funny stuff you could do, like on Awoken, when Zuna was playing some twos near the power-up. He would like bounce someone with a rocket launcher, and I had the LG out and I pushed them off the map.
Yep, ring out.
Some hilarious stuff you can do.
It's the new meta, but here comes the power-up. I think actually, I was about to say, Waz is more likely going to save that piercing sight for when the power-up's about to spawn. And he did exactly that, you know, make sure they've got eyeballs, they know exactly where everyone's coming from. You can now take the Mega, you can take the quad. This is 100% an advantage for Team Liquid.
And seekmate2v2 gave it up completely. They didn't even bother contest. I think they're going back healing, trying to maybe just regroup and recoup on some things. LG's going to come in, looking, that's from NiKo. Able to get Wins a little bit low, but again, the power-up, it's going to be on Waz, who's actually been relatively quiet so far. You can see him actually finally able to track onto someone. That's going to be Soccer's going down. But only a 2-for-0 exchange off the back of a power-up. With a team with this big of a lead, I was expecting a little bit more. So a good job defensively out of seekmate to hide.
Yeah, we did see another one go down though. Waz, fortunately, he was spawning right next to him, so it was only a matter of time really before he clocked him, I think. The one thing I was surprised in when he noticed that Waz was there and Waz couldn't see him, they actually gave his position away anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of unfortunate, but I mean, he bought tons of time. Like he stopped Waz from being able to get around the map, and as you pointed out, piercing sight was used before power was spawned in, so he kind of gave away the option to use that as like a big run. But 27-11 again, seekmate is getting on the board. Wins and Waz, I mean, still looking just like a well-oiled machine.
Absolutely. I mean, even with these frags that aren't returned, because they're so far ahead, they don't really mind, I don't think. But we have the Heavy. Waz trying to control this, as we expect. Visor in particular having such an impressive stack. The second he gets Heavy, even with his base health, is hard to contest, even in 2v2.
Especially with how fast he can get around the map too. I mean, you're going to see here as Waz is already able to get up towards the light armor. And again, just sticking with Wins. It seems like Wins is the one leading the charge at the moment, though. But you can definitely tell that Wins is kind of making the play calls. He's kind of being like the chess master here, saying, all right, let's go towards Mega, let's get that. All right, Waz, you can pick this up. I'll pick up Heavy or something like that. Heavy's up in a certain amount of time. Let's group up there again. I think actually Wins went on the backside and Waz on the high ground. They've completely locked out 2 out of the 3 entrances in towards Heavy to make sure to secure that again. Just a full stranglehold. Also near the power-up, which is about to spawn, Waz, again, saving the piercing sight, making sure they have complete vision. And it's their ability to pick... So one thing these guys are doing amazingly well is their ability to focus down a target. How consistently are we now seeing LG come through? They're both going for exactly the same target at the same time. They're not missing, and that target goes down within the blink of an eye. Yeah, very important. Actually, really nice that you pointed that out, because that just shows the communication within the teams, and I believe we're going to have the potential over the course of these next 3 days to actually listen to some of the comms and hear how calm, cool, collected they are, like wrapping the hang, or maybe how crazy things can get. That was a nice rocket. Wonderful rockets. And this lead is looking pretty significant. Wins just going full speed ahead. No fear whatsoever. Goes in for the rail. Has time for one more, but it misses. But he still won that fight. He's forced them away. Waz staying up there, knowing that even if he runs away from the fight, Waz can clean up no matter what. Just trying to think about, what NiKo and Sockers need to do maybe a little bit differently to get a better hold on the game, because they're just kind of they're not necessarily being walked over, but there's a definite discrepancy between accuracies at the moment, and then again, the fights that are being forced on each other. It seems like Wins and Waz have that full control, and they're forced these fights however they want. Again, another pincer move on towards Mega, perfectly well timed, and they're gonna get the kill on Nico. Yeah, they lose out on Mega, but hell, they're 38 kills in already. They'll need 12 more to close this out.
I mean, we're seeing a lot of straight up 2v1s right here, and I think that's fundamentally one of the issues that seekmate are actually having, is that very rarely are these fights actually in their favor at all, and because they're dying one at a time, it's staggering their respawns, they're having to take time to get weapons, that takes time as well, and that's a lot of time they're not spending fighting for each other.
I'm glad you pointed out weapons, actually, because I wanted to look. Currently, Soccer's no rocket launcher. He's been able to get rails, been able to get LG, and you can see he has 3 totems down, now going to be 2, but again, it's good to have as many of those down as possible. I would like to see them, like, maybe put a little bit more sneaky-like, and that's not a bad position, the one currently above them at upper T, to actually catch out someone for damage. But I feel like on Runes to start off, it's one of those maps where you need to use the totems for healing more than for damage. Obviously, you're going to be happy if you do damage with it, but to be able to have that backup to retreat away and pick up the extra HP is always a plus.
Quite a lot of the totem locations in Ruins, I think, double up as those, which is good. But here comes the quad damage. Tego's trying to fight, but Nico falls again, and Waz with a very almost effortless double.
Well, Effortless hasn't played yet. I think that's later on today.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Sorry.
The second I clocked it.
I mean, yeah, we've actually never cast together, but the last few days we've been able to get to know my personality. Let's just say that.
Yes, I have.
Waz, 36 health. He still has quad, but again, there's 7 frags away. Looking to chase it onto another. He will eventually fall to Nico from behind, so good job by him, but Wins is going to be there, but Wins won't be enough to secure the quad back for their favor, but again, still trading relatively well, and especially with the respawn back in with the MG. Only 5 frags down.
You just look at the frag difference, right? Yeah, 5 frags left to go, and this map's going to be done and dusted. I think seekmate kind of needs to use the remaining time to just kind of gauge how these guys approach. They know how heavily now Team Liquid are actually focusing these fights. They're going down so quickly because even if it isn't 2v1, they're making sure that one of you dies before we go down, which means we can just clean up afterwards.
I think for Nico and Soccer's as well, they realize this is a done map. Like, the coming back from this is going to be it's going to be impossible. I'll even just say it now. But they have to kind of keep the mindset into the next map. Like, all right, what did we do wrong? Maybe this is actually them taking time to discuss. Like, okay, what can we do better into the next map? Where we need to, switch some things up so we can actually perform better.
Well, that's definitely, I think, the protocol. Liquid, no reason to overextend. Not using the jump pad, of course. I think this is going to be somewhat of a run-of-the-mill ending right here. I foresee Liquid just sort of picking up those frags. When the fights inevitably happen, they're going to trade it. They can absolutely get 2 more trades before this is over. The pincer, once more. I mean, literally, just Wins wasn't... He just was completely standalone, and I don't even think Waz really minded there. Just who cares?
I think, like, I mean, you've actually, competed professionally in some games, and keeping your mindset clear. Like, going into a match like this, would you rather lose a very close match where it's, for instance in Quake, like 50-49, or would you rather be stomped?
Well, I feel like the big thing to take away from this kind of situation is that, nothing is meaningless, right? No loss has no meaning, and no win has no meaning. So even though this has been a very, very dominant win, which of course Team Liquid are going to very happily take that one, seekmate need to use this opportunity as complete data. That map wasn't a loss, that map was a learning experience going into the next maps.
Yeah, and you have to take it that way. You definitely do, especially in Quake, when generally, I'd say maybe like 99% of the time, the better team will always win. You kind of have to just look at, well, what do we need to do differently? And I'd say there's a lot of things we saw where there was a lot of getting caught off guard. A lot of times it was a 2-on-1 in favor of Liquid when it should have been, like in terms of fighting. Maybe some weapon control would be a little bit better, but we did have them take one of the items. They did get protection, the first spawn of it, the first get-go of it, but they weren't able to accomplish much off of that.
Yeah, and I think even though we saw also a quad rampage from Nico, I believe, as well, and even though it was really good, they'd given up so many frags before, it didn't actually turn the tide much. It didn't make much of a splash. Yeah. Any other situation it would have been, but right then, because they were already like 20 frags down, it did very, very little. Yeah. Now, I think that the big thing actually, was just general teamwork in 2v2. Like, the coordination between Wins and Waz, and whenever there was a fight, they were there. There was 2 guns on someone at all times. Even if it was a 1v2 in a situation, it wasn't far long before one of Team Liquid was able to get in there and even the odds. But they were catching the guys 2v1 way too consistently. And I think that's the thing. seekmate, they weren't as aware of where they should be. Like, listening to each other, basically.
That's actually what I was just thinking about. It seemed like with Wins and Waz, there was a clear communication, a clear line of communication. Wins was calling out, like, where to go, what's the next power up we're going to contest, or what's the next pickup. But for NiKo and Sockers, it just seemed like, I know the potential was there. I know someone was definitely trying to make the calls of what they should do, but they never had the control, like the weaponry, the kills, like the frags. They didn't have enough on their side to ever get the momentum in their hands, like to get the control. Like they weren't able to effectively attack any of these pickups, you know, mega health or heavy armor. When it came to power-ups, they were really struggling because entering that room is really difficult. It just seemed like they had the communication, but they just didn't have the raw fragging power to kind of compete.
Now, I'm really intrigued because we're going into our next map, and this is going to be the first time on stream that we're going to be seeing Awoken. The new map is very small. Actually, I'm a big fan, I know you are as well, of Awoken.
It's my favorite map, hands down.
But it's one of those interesting situations where it's very, very small. We do see Galena picked very often on this map as well because it's teleporter heavy, which is probably why you would expect to see Galena selected anyway. But it's being one of the newer maps. This is one of the maps I think teams have been scrimming the most.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, no one wants to go to a $50,000 LAN and not be ready for new content. We saw how Liquid One were able to get the job done with Strog. You know, not everyone's going to be familiar with that champion, at least at the highest level. But looks like we already see a Galena. This does not surprise me at all. NiKo falls. Waz with the Doomslayer. Another good selection on this map. Doomslayer and Galena on one side, and then seekmate having Visor and Doomslayer on the other side. I actually would have liked to have seen the Galena from these guys. I think it's actually going to give Liquid quite a map advantage, even by champion lineup alone.
Yeah, I mean, just the healing you could do again. We talked about that so many times before, how many paths you can cut off with totems. And also, it's healing on demand. I think that's such an important thing to keep in mind. When it comes to, all right, we're both, 1 HP, but quad's up and we have it. Well, you know what? You can have this extra HP and then try to do something with it instead of just giving that quad away. What kind of worries me about Doom, though, is double jump. It's such an asset to have to dodge rockets, but it can be such a detriment when there's so much potential for being ringed out or for jumping out of the map on it.
And there's going to need to be coordination. These guys, seekmate, they're going to have to make sure they're talking to each other and saying whether they have an LG or not, whether they've spawned away from it. Knowing how you can move without getting caught off guard. Liquid with another great start, trying to fight towards Mega, but it doesn't work out. NiKo then forced into another 2v1, and seeing as Waz and Wins both have fantastic LGs, I think when it's a 2v1, you just can't survive, especially if they've both got an LG on you.
And the thing is, you see them camping this part of the map too, because they have LG already. They have access to Mega into Heavy really quickly. They have access to Rail and this long distance part, one of the longest distance part of the map, and they're just holding on to this. They realize we don't need to really go anywhere because, you know what, Quad's going to spawn right next to us in 20 seconds. Mega's going to be up, and we can quickly both transition over there. The only part where they could potentially lose someone is like that, when they split off the direction towards the Mega actual pickup. But that was the first frag, and it took 1 minute and 42 seconds for that to happen. And
also, it did nothing to do with the control they're actually establishing on quad location. You can see just how many totems are actually laid out. They now know there's going to be 2 people right here. They've coordinated it, but they're both super weak. Waz should be able to pick this one up. Going in with the Berserk. In many ways, I'm not even sure he needed the Berserk. Sokars was so weak anyway. But let's just get the job done.
It looks prettier. It's for style points, right?
Yes.
And this is one of the maps, though, I think we've kind of been seeing is it's the most difficult if you have poor communication with your team to make the power-ups do a lot of work. Because it's a very circular map. There's actually a path you can take around the entire map. You could potentially avoid whoever picked up the quad or the protection for a good portion of it. So having that communication, potentially having a visor to see where they are, or at least the communication to cut them off, to kind of sacrifice yourself to tell your teammate where everyone is so important.
Wins, just finishing the job.
Ooh, that was pretty.
1 for 1, but it's not going to matter too much. But Liquid, this is actually kind of league I think we expected to see on Awoken. They've been playing so well anyway. They haven't really changed up how they're picking out their targets, and that's an easy 2v2.
Yeah, 15-5. Waz at 9 frags, Wins at 6. NiKo, at one point in Runes of Sarnath, he had 13, and Sockers had 2, so NiKo was definitely trying to make something happen in the first map, but on Awoken, they've not been able to take that control away. As you pointed out, we saw Waz go down earlier on towards Mega, but Wins was still there, and they still have the respawn next to it anyways. They still have the weaponry there to use. And even with protection not coming up for another 40 seconds, they're more than happy to just sit in this position because they're constantly getting rockets, and the kills they are getting are just basically being guns donated over to them.
For sure, and it's incredible accuracy too, but I mean, we've got to point out, it kind of just goes into what you were talking about. How often right here, whenever we're watching Team Liquid, of which we've been seeing them most of the map, and for good reason, like, when's the last time they were on the other half of the map, besides spawning there? They've spent the entire map on this half because the power-up is so key in 2v2.
And the thing is with them here, right? seekmate2v2 spawn towards LG and towards rockets. And then they come over to fight, they die, they drop their LG, they drop their rockets, and Waz and Wins are like, all right, well, there's free ammo, and if we didn't have the guns, well, now we do.
Well, they've been able to more than bully their way into this power-up location. Wins now with protection.
Again, there's potential for healing on demand here. 2 seconds left. I mean, he's playing the protection very cautiously because of low HP, and he doesn't want to give it up. But
Wants to pop the health before he goes for the heavy too. Just little bits of optimization, knowing that if I'm going to go for heavy, you may as well have more health first. And now we can go for the pincer. We've seen him go for this pincer maneuver so often. Really good nail gun. Using the teleport, actually forcing the split. But I'm not even sure that's going to help them because, oh my god, wins with a flick rail. Excellent shot.
You know how we have like sick midi or like midis for like mid-air rockets? We need something for flick rails.
We do.
Like a sick flick. I actually like sick flick. It rhymes.
Wicked Six style.
Wicked Six style. You can always do that as well. But it's a domination. 23-6. Wins and Waz are actually looking extremely good. And obviously they'll be playing against the winner of Corvidae and Dreams of Magic Blue, which will be our, I think, second match going on, because the other match is going on at the same time simultaneously, so you can go straight to winners and straight to deciders after that.
Indeed. I know everyone's going to want to watch the Liquid boys in action. You don't get to see them in the LAN setting every day, least of all against, you know, the rest of the world in competition. Just remind you all, guys, you know, this is actually, we are seeing seeding as well. You know, this is the fact that Liquid, I believe Liquid were the highest seed in that group.
Yeah, they are. I think they're 1, Corvidae's 2, and then it's Dreams of Magic Blue 3. I don't know actual seeding numbers, but within their groups, the respective groups, that's what it is.
It would make sense, for sure.
Again, look at this. I mean...
Yeah, the second the power-up's about to spawn, they're right back up here, setting up shop.
They got rockets, they got rail, they have no LG between them, which makes it very hard, well, not necessarily very hard, but harder to hold on this position. But again, if they can keep hitting rockets, keep hitting rails, sorry, from range, well, they're not going to need the LG.
He just needed one more rocket to take out Nico right there.
This actually might be the potential for quad picked up, but no, Nico goes down. So, Soccer's pushing from the other side. Berserk's going to come out. He gets the first punch. He's looking for the second. He will get Waz. And now this should be quad, but the problem is he's not healthy at all. Nico's going to have to be the one to secure it. He does get it, but all he has is the MG. He finally gets the LG picked up from his teammate.
That was a combination. That was a combination of not being healthy for the fight and being stuck in Berserk. Like, it's great when you get a kill with Berserk, but in those moments where you really need to have something with range and you can't because you're stuck to melee only, it can be both a blessing and a curse, I think, getting a kill with Berserk early on.
You just hear him like whistling, like, come on, all right, Berserk, just finish already so I can switch to a gun.
Yeah.
My 20 health is going to allow me to get a punch off. We're going to see Wins go down, and I believe someone else picked it up. I don't think Waz actually got that.
Yeah, I think it's run out of time now, but it did disappear. Nico picks up one, but not before they're being ambushed from behind.
So that's a decent, that's like a 2-for-1 exchange in the long run. And that's what they need to do to get back on the map.
We're seeing more signs of life from seekmate. The problem is, again, because they had such a disastrous beginning, sometimes you can see it be too little too late, and it feels like right now that might be one of those situations. Unless they just turn it up to 11, but how consistently well Liquid are starting to play, of which, hang on, that's a 2v1, but they can't even survive because Galena totems. That's going to be 2 frags completely unreturned.
Well, it's so difficult about the position that Wins and Waz are obviously holding. I mean, they have 10 set up, I'm pretty sure, and bed set up at this position because they've been camping it the entire time. It's just that rail, that 80 damage you take coming around the corner to even get to the position to contest without having that on the side of seekmate2v2. It's just so hard to pressure and to punish this position.
This is such a confident, such an amazingly confident 2v1 from Wins there. Just understanding, I don't need to get the frags here. I just need to put up shop, survive, and do damage so that Waz can come up behind. And that's exactly what he just did.
And they did finally push off the swap. Both picking up the LG. Protection coming up in about 10 seconds time. Heavy's going to be secured for Waz. Actually, he is surrounded. But the position he's holding here actually forces the man on the high ground above him to either drop or just ignore him. And Nico did go for the drop, but then Winston's going to be there pushing from rail side, and they get a nice double kill to transition straight into quad. Or sorry, protection.
There we go. Wins, nice and healthy. I love that kill. He was so convinced that rocket was going to kill, it already turned away.
There was like that hesitation, like, wait, what? You're still alive? How? How's that possible? Gauntlet comes out, looking for the pummel.
I mean, I guess that's all he can do in that situation. If he's point blank and he's got limited weaponry and limited health, let's just try and do as much as we can before we inevitably go down. Wins pushed miles away with the LG, but thankfully he's got the rail, so that's not going to be a problem. Sometimes that actually screws players sometimes, the pushback of the LG.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Especially on a map like this where you could be pushed off the map, unfortunately.
Ring out.
Yeah.
But
the only thing that makes me upset about ring outs, though, is it doesn't say that I get the kill, you know? I want them to know that I killed you. It wasn't the environment. It was me pushing you into the environment that finished you off.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
I want my credit for the 2 frags I can get for a match.
But the suicide system does actually obviously bring, it kind of presents some tactical advantages sometimes where, you can't afford them getting a kill, but you can afford to lose one.
Yeah, I remember casting a couple of matches where one team was down, it was maybe 47 to 35, and they were actually suiciding instead of dying to enemy team because they wanted to have that chance to come back. And obviously with the suicide, you kind of force yourself to have no weaponry, obviously, and it's kind of going to get you a random respawn. It's a little bit tough to come back from that, but it just kind of shows that there's potential to kind of drag those out if you can and potentially pull off a major comeback. Nico, speaking of comeback, gets the kill on the Waz. 6 HP left. He's not going to go for the kill on the wins.
Oh my god.
Waz comes back in.
There he is. 5 more frags for Team Liquid. Another one of those things where we can pretty much wrap this one up, in my opinion. I think Liquid are definitely going to be moving this one on, looking like the highest seed of the group, which I think is to the surprise of no one. But it's just coming through really good coordination, staying basically as cool as a cucumber from start to finish. Amazing aim. I mean, non-stop, superb rails.
Yeah, speaking of, okay, so I remember talking, with you and Zoop before we actually started today, saying the LG felt so good when we were playing yesterday because we're on the LAN environment. And I was talking to Raph, and he said, yeah, the LG is good, but he says the rail feels really good. Every shot that he